And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning, the first Monday of April 2025. And conversations around sport, we've had one about the Sunshine Development. So it's a second-tier pro golf event helping our Kenyan golfers go through the pathway. We've also had, from Gibson Weru, who's coach of the Menengai Oilers, and it is all about the Kenya Cup final, playing against Kabras on Saturday. Well, two more conversations that we shall be having this morning. One is Baseball 5, and on our table, as you can see, the East Africa Baseball 5 Championship took place over the weekend. Kenya won all the matches, something that really just doesn't happen in Baseball 5 across the country. And also, we shall be speaking with Professor Sheila Kalunga, who was recently appointed as the safeguarding coordinator for Africa by the African Judo Union. So she will be joining us via Zoom from the UK in just a short while. But right now, let me bring in two people who represented the country in Baseball 5. We've got Tony Nganga on my far left. Tony,
thank you.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning,
and congratulations. You can see you already have your medal proudly with you.
Yeah.
And also we have got Hilary Kilivwa.
Harry Kilivwa. Yeah.
Oh, Harry, a very good morning to you. Now, let's just get straight into this, the whole concept of Baseball 5, before we even come to the East African Championship. Harry, just give us the whole concept of how it's different from the conventional sport.
Okay. Good morning once again. My name is Harry Kilivwa. I am the captain of the National Baseball 5 team. Baseball 5 is a new sport. Is a new sport that is being welcomed well. The older sport that most people know is baseball. It's a primary sport mainly in Japan and USA. So with
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, even Puerto Rico, those Dominican countries. So with Baseball 5 is the urban version of it. It was developed mainly because with Baseball 5, you only need a rubber ball to play it, small as like a rubber ball to play it. But originally with baseball, you'll have to need the baseball itself, bats, gear, and a very large field. But with Baseball 5, we only need a field which is 18 by 18 meters, and you're good to go to play it.
So just give us, the whole, a whole picture of what that diamond would look like, and the number of players that you have on that pitch.
Okay, a Baseball 5 field is a 18 by 18 meters field. We have at home plate. A home plate is where the plays usually start.
Yes.
When you are on offense. When you are on offense, you start at home plate. From home plate to first base, it's 13 meters. From first base to second base, also 13. Second to third to home is 13 meters. 13. So the infield is 13 meters. We have an extension of 5 meters on both sides to make a square of 18 meters. That's why it's coming to 18 meters. On the field, during defense, you usually have 5 players. That's where the name 5 comes in. It's baseball, then 5. That's where the 5 comes in. So you have 5 players fielding. One is at first base, another one second, another one shortstop. We have another one at third base. Then we have...
Okay, shortstop.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuongee Kiingereza sasa.
Yeah.
So what's a shortstop in baseball?
In normal baseball, actually the shortstop for baseball and Baseball 5 is just a position. It's a primary position. It remains for both games. It's just the same position. Somebody is just a fielder. Actually, that's the position that I play. It's just a fielder. It's one of the positions that a player in defense plays. Yeah.
So ideally, you've got, because it's a diamond, so you've got home,
first, second, third. Yep. Then we have somebody midfield. He stays in the middle of the field. Yeah.
So you have it, and now let me come to you, Tony, and the pitching. This is you also have got somebody pitching amongst your 5.
Now that is where the difference comes in. Normal baseball, there is a pitcher and a catcher. But in baseball 5, as our captain said, it's an urban sport, so there is no pitching. So what you do is, the official hands you the ball, while you're in the plate, then you just use your hand and slap it into the field, then run to first base. It's as simple as that.
You toss it to yourself, then you slap.
You slap it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's the technique required?
So the technique is very easy.
If you've got to score a home run, then you actually need some real skill, as we can see now, as it is happening.
Yeah. So, as you can see there, so first of all, in baseball 5, there is no home run. The ball has to hit that diamond, the 13 by 13 meters. It has to hit the ground before it goes to the wall. So if it travels mid-air all the way to the board, you're officially ruled out. So your hit has to hit the ground first before going to the wall. Yeah.
And also that hit, as you can see on that field, from where the home plate is, we have a line there, a 4.5, from home to 4.5 meters. Your first hit has to hit there so that it becomes a safe ball. But if you hit that ball before the 4.5, that's an automatic out. In baseball, we usually have given warnings. Maybe 1 strike, 2 strikes, then the third strike you're out. But with baseball 5, you'll get, when you hit the ball before the 4.5 meters, it's an automatic out. Again, also, if you hit the ball on the foul territory, it's an automatic out. Again, when as you can see the field, we have boards around the field.
Yes. Yeah.
A ball that goes directly to the board is an automatic out. So you just have to hit the ball past 4.5 and anywhere else into the field.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the tournament that you've had, the national, the Africa Baseball 5 Championship, Eastern Region. You beat Uganda
and
Tanzania.
Yeah.
And unbeaten in that. Just take us, the Tanzania game, where you and each of the innings that you had. Take us. Who's going to Harry?
The captain. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the tournament was organized in a double round robin system. So you was to play, each team was to play against each other 2 times, and the 2 teams that will have more wins are the ones that were supposed to meet in the final. So the game that you saw us playing against Tanzania was our first game.
Yeah.
That we started with them. The first game we started with them.
Yeah.
The one that you are showing us, the first game that we played with them, and we had more runs against them. I think maybe it's because they had some fatigue because they came late, but as our coach here had prepared us well, we didn't want to know if you are fatigued or well prepared like Uganda were.
Yeah.
They prepared us well.
This was against Uganda. Just look at.
This is against Uganda.
Yeah.
So, preparing your team and making them understand, how to run, and maybe you could just hold on. You could just hold on to, the videos. You can keep it, just keep it going. So we can see the player is there.
Yeah.
He's
Hitting.
He's heated.
Yeah.
And so the shot, we can see that there is a player who's in the middle of the court.
Yeah.
That's a
midfielder.
That's a midfielder.
Yeah.
So, top left, we have
near the Ugandan where a player is. That's now third base.
That is third base.
You can see number 24, me. I'm going at home. That's shortstop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see in the field, the home plate is right over there. So where the lady is, that is first base, then second base, then third base. So you're running, moving towards this direction. Yeah. So when you hit the ball, you come to first base. Then if the ball arrives to first base before you, you're ruled out.
And so that means you're out?
You're out. Yeah. So your team gets, you only have 3 outs for you to change the inning. So, but if your player reaches the first base before the ball, they are ruled safe. Then the other player comes to bat. So you'll continue until the opponent team gets 3 outs. If they don't, then this other team will continue batting. That's why you'll see our game against Tanzania, you could get a score like a 16-2, 19-0, because our team were well prepared. I prepared them such that if we are batting, we are using the right techniques, the right strategies, so that for them, it wasn't, we made it so hard for them to get the 3 outs. So you could find us, the players are 5, we are batting, and we could go again to the first batter and continue batting until they get the 3 outs. Yep.
And also, let's talk about, understanding how to position yourself and how to get and to make sure that you get a player out.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody who's at first, second, or third base before they go home.
Yeah, so here we do a strategy whereby we look at who is batting first. So when you analyze the opponent team, you realize in a team, not everybody is a strong batter. So if we see a strong batter, we have to adjust our fielders such that we're expecting a strong hit. So we pull them towards the ball that you saw across, yeah? But if it's a lady, because again, this sport is played by both ladies and men on the same pitch.
Actually, we have seen that it is a unisex sport.
Yeah. So if it's a lady who's batting, we adjust. So we tell the players, move forward. Yeah. Again, it depends with how many runners are there on the bases and where are they. If there's a run on first, there's a way we adjust. If there is a run on second, we also adjust. So it's not about one strategy. It's a game that you have to adapt from one inning to the other inning to the other inning, and you're constantly advising your players to be on toes because anything can happen at any moment.
Now, let's take a look at, Uganda for a long time were one of the stronger sides. And Harry, you could just see this. What made this sport grow such that we can now compete against Uganda? I think 10 years ago, we were not at the same level as them.
With Baseball 5, Kenya, when Baseball 5 was introduced by the World Baseball and Softball Confederation, Kenya welcomed it with both hands. But Uganda, primarily, they are baseball players. They really like baseball, so they didn't welcome it that much. But as days goes by, they have now taken it into consideration. But with us, when it came, with baseball we had limited resources in terms of equipment.
Yeah.
So when Baseball 5 came, we only needed a rubber ball. We welcomed it well, and we started with speed playing it. Also, what has assisted us in beating them this time, when the first World Cup was held in 2022, and before that we had African qualifiers. In the African qualifiers, we were number 2. It's not the first time us beating them. We also beat them in 2021 before going to 2022 to the World Cup. Yeah. So when we went to the World Cup in Mexico in 2022, me and some of the players, we got new experience, and we got exposed to some of the best players, especially from Cuba and Venezuela. Those are actually, the sport was started in Cuba. So with them, they have a lot of knowledge, and even those who started the game, when we went to the World Cup, we met them. So we learned some things from them, and what we learned, we came to apply during our training sessions, and during the game we applied, and it worked for us.
Yeah.
So, having played at the World Cup, and let me now come to you, Tony. Yeah. What was it that the Cubans were teaching you and those people who played, out in Mexico? What are the key lessons you picked and how they observed how you play the game?
For us, it was a first-time experience, and every time you're going to a competition as a first-timer, it's always a learning experience. So meeting a country like Cuba, who have played this sport, I think, for more than 5 years, they know the in and outs, the small nitty-gritty details that needs to be, like when you come into offense or defense, where are you supposed to stand? When we first traveled as the first team in that competition, we didn't really know what strategies to employ at that time. So we are just using the rule book. The rule book says when a batter is here, you're supposed to position yourself here. But as the game is progressing, you realize people are becoming creative day by day. So now you have to adjust. Otherwise, if you're going to use the rule book, you'll find that your game is very difficult. So for them, they've been able to adjust accordingly over the years. And they've become so creative such that somebody is a strong batter, but they will not use their strength, they'll just use their mind. So as you pull back, expecting a strong hit, he'll just place the ball here. So again, you get confused. And now the weak batter, as you pull front, he's told to hit the ball farthest. So you get the small details are what makes the difference here. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. So here, and looking just as, at how you do that, how do you then, keep, making sure that your fielders are, able to quickly adjust to every move that's been given?
So as you see, the ones who are not on the field, they are not far away. As the coaches, you can see us, we are just right there. Yeah. So you can even hear my voice is not yet clear right now. So you keep shouting, you keep reminding them, eyes on me, look at me, the runner is at first. So you always keep reminding them, where are we throwing the ball, which is the play, is it 2-1 or is it first base first? So you have to keep, in this game, if you keep quiet, and the field is so loud, anything can happen. The pressure can be on you. I mean, it's a sport. A sport is a very stressful situation. So for players and everything and the tension. So you have to keep reminding your players all the time, relax, relax. You got this, breathe. Let's start. The play is fast base. Let's start fast base. If it doesn't become successful, let's go to the next base, which is second base. If it doesn't become successful, let's go to the third base. On and on and on. And you keep repeating that from the first inning to the fifth inning until the set is over.
Well, what? Come in, Harry.
Yeah. What can I say? What I can add on what the coach is saying, during batting, we learned something from the Cubans when we went to the World Cup in Mexico. With them, they were coming when they are coming to bat. Actually, they are very strong hitters. When they come to bat, they hit it as hard as possible, and they just go for one base. When you have strong batters who go one base at a time, it becomes difficult for you to get them out. When it becomes difficult for you to get them out, sometimes your mind becomes imechanganyikiwa. So we learned something from them. That's why what we employed against Uganda on the final game. Yeah. We told our batters, we now have to hit. We have to find our strongest, their weakest point and use it. Yeah. We located their weakest point, which was short and second. Yeah. So that's where our batters were hitting. If you could see the final game, we used the shortstop and second base. So when you hit the ball strong towards the board, it goes to the board, it hits this board and goes towards this direction. And we had a weak batter from this side. So a weak fielder from this side. So the time he wants to go and field it, the ball has already passed him. Yeah. We have fielders on both bases. Yeah. The other batter comes also, does the same thing. Yeah. That's why we made more runs until the last game.
And so that means that you had 3 batters on base, or on the home plate, first, second, and third.
Yeah, most of the time that's what was happening. Yeah. We were having all the bases loaded, then all the batters were strong. Even our ladies, we've trained with them, we've hardened them. They hit strong.
You know, the unfortunate thing about this sport, it's not unfortunate, but it's something, it's a keynote, yeah? If the ladies in your team are not at least as strong as the men when it comes to batting and fielding, you guys are going to have a lot of struggle when it comes to play. But when you look at the Kenyan team here, because we've trained them for a while, it becomes difficult for the opponent to determine who is the weakest here, because all of them are batting, they're on the same level, whether it's a lady, whether it's a man. So you can find when we have bases loaded with runners and a lady is coming to bat from Kenya and they think that the lady is weak, they'll get shocked because now the ball is hit as hard as the lady can hit and the bases are cleared. So with one hit, we are getting 2 or 3 runs. So continuing like that within 5 innings, you're getting a score of like 16-0, yeah? So which is trying to say something like, you have to train your ladies as hard as you train your men. When you become soft, the game will become difficult for your men, and they'll have to struggle.
Well, there's nothing. I mean, they say train hard,
win easy.
Win easy.
Yeah.
So when the sport came in here, and looking at where you'd be headed, you've won the East Africa Baseball 5 Championship. So here it is. Let's look at Africa and the competition that would come. South Africa, I think, would be the other country that would give you a run for your money.
I think from the north we have Egypt, Tunisia. Tunisia is one good team. I think even in the past they've shown. We've played with them before, and that's the team that is going to give us a very good competition. From the south we have South Africa, probably maybe Botswana, we're not sure, Zambia. Yeah. From the west maybe Ghana. Yeah. But moving on to the Africa qualifiers, the continental qualifiers, we're going to have 2 teams from each region. So they're going to be a total of 6 teams. So looking at South Africa, Tunisia, probably we're hoping Tunisia is the team that is going to
Okay, which are the 3 regions, just name?
So it's us, East region,
Eastern region, Southern region, and the Western region.
Western now is both combined with
North Africa and South Africa.
Yeah,
West
Africa.
Any place with the Sahara Desert.
Yes. So they're going to produce the top 2. They also have their own competition qualifier, regional qualifiers like this one. So they're going to produce the best 2 teams. Then we are going to, in November, right? Somewhere around November. Now we're going to meet as the 6 teams, then
Super
have
six.
another competition, a continental qualifier. Then the top 2 teams, we are going to represent now Africa in the World Cup in Italy.
So just explain this Super 6 and how it works.
The Super 6 is the two, each region, as coach has told you, will produce two teams. So these 6 teams will now go to our competition.
So this region now is Kenya?
The Eastern region is Kenya
and Uganda.
And
Yeah,
Uganda.
Kenya and Uganda.
The South, I don't think
They have not done their qualifiers. They'll do their qualifiers maybe later. Western region will do their qualifiers on 31st of this month, 31st and 1st of this at the end of this month. Then Southern do their qualifiers also. So each region will produce 2 teams. The best 2 teams are the ones that qualify for the Super 6.
Yeah.
The Super 6 now is the countries that will compete for 2 slots. That the winners of the 2 slots are the one who now will go to the World Cup in Italy next year.
Yeah. So the format that is used at the Super 6, just explain it.
Yeah, the format is just the same that is used with the regional qualifiers. But now here in Eastern region is where we have less teams. But in the Western region has a little bit around 6 teams that participate. So the format that will be used is just the same, or they'll go with pools. Maybe
they'll create 2 pools.
They'll create 2 pools,
of 3 teams each.
Yeah, of 3 teams.
Play against each other. Then the top 2 will now move forward as the winners. Then narrow down to the finals, then get the 2 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting format. Now, the other thing is, you've mentioned that this is an urban sport, and you've given the space.
Yeah.
But looking at what you had over the weekend, it was played indoors.
Yeah.
What are the playing surfaces that you look for outdoors, and how do they change the entire approach to the game?
The game is it can be played even in outdoor, but it depends with the ground surface. The ground surface needs to be somehow smooth, but not too slidey, just smooth. Like the floor that you have here, maybe it's fine. It can this side is fine. It can be used to play on a smooth surface, and but not that rough. The players may easily topple.
Yeah.
So a smoother.
But when I watch baseball, I see people sliding, trying to get to base.
Another thing. You've brought up another thing.
Yeah.
With baseball 5,
you don't slide.
There is no sliding.
Any intentional slide, you are ruled out.
Yeah.
Again, on your question about the surface, currently in Kenya, if you look at the season we are in right now, there are a bit rains, So playing it outside is going to inconvenience a lot of teams, because now when it rains, this game it's a high-speed game. So you might expose your players to a lot of injuries here and there, because there are a lot of movement involved, side-to-side movement, agility here and there. So playing it in a wet surface will inconvenience many teams. So that is why we chose an indoor arena, because basically for baseball 5, what you need is a field that has the right dimensions and the surface is right, and then you're good to go.
So ideally a basketball court or a volleyball court.
Yes, that will do. As long as it has the right dimensions for infield and outfield, then you're good to go.
Let's talk now about the footwear that you'd use indoors vis-a-vis what you'd use outdoors.
The footwear doesn't really change that much, because you just need a good shoe with biomechanically. You need a shoe that has good padding on the heel, also on the sole, and also on the side of the ankle. You don't really need shoes with spikes. That is going to create a lot of tension on your foot. And as you said, moving from home to first base, and you have to turn at a high speed, maybe go to second, using a shoe that has studs or spikes, you can even...
Indoors, that would be out.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't have a difference more so, but if you have a good shoe with good padding, then you're good to go.
Outdoors, if you're playing on grass, also...
Playing baseball 5 on grass is going to be...
disadvantageous.
It's going to be a disadvantage, because this ball, it's a rubber ball, and you need a surface whereby if you bounce it, it can bounce back. So on the grass, it's going to cushion that bounce. So it may disadvantage the field that the team that is batting.
Now, one of the things we always know is universities are, breeding grounds for a lot of these new sports. We've seen that with kabaddi, we've seen that with roll ball, which other one? I think chukball. But how are you reaching out to the communities? Because this is ideally what I would call an inexpensive sport, but there is also the one thing that we are short of,
Yeah.
the right surfaces in this country. Let me start with you, Harry.
With me, first of all, I was brought up in the ghetto in Kibera. I started playing baseball in Kibera. So the field that we were using is not even a standard field for playing baseball, leave alone baseball 5. It had, we had Maram what, but we just played. But as the game...
I know the surface, what people call out there grau.
Hey, grau.
Yes.
Grau za, hizo grau za mtaa huko, nazijua, they are not that fine for playing even baseball. But baseball 5, when baseball 5 came, and we are just playing even in that, we just tried to play in that field. Even though it disadvantages you, when you hit the ball, maybe it hits a stone, it goes the other side, but we just liked the game, so we continued playing. So as we continued playing, at times we were able to, now when the basketball players are not using their courts, maybe we try and steal their field and try and use it. And that's how I came to learn about the sport. But for those who are in the universities, they are at a better place because, like for KU, they have several courts for basketball. So they just use the courts when they are not in use. Same to JQuat, because even JQuat is playing. KU, Multimedia University. Even Africa Nazarene, our host, are one of the teams that play. Yeah.
Well, and actually, in African Nazarene, it's only a private institution, one of the few institutions that have got, the correct indoor arena. And then the other one, the outreach is what is very important. Nairobi and the universities can happen easily. But what about outside the capital? How are you reaching out to people who are out in different places?
The federation has actually done really well to create awareness, and we have a league that goes on. It has clubs. It includes also universities, and its universities. It's not limited to Nairobi. Any country, any team from any county can participate in. So you find that since it's an inexpensive sport, it only requires a ball and a court. It's very easy for anyone, whether you are an institution, whether you are a privately owned organization. It's very easy, and you only need 5 players, no equipment, just a good shoe, a short, and a t-shirt, a jersey. You find it's very easy for people to adopt, because you don't really start to when most things, like right now where we are economically, it's not a good place. So when you pitch a proposal to an institution, we want to start this game, and then they ask you, okay, what do you need? So you write a whole quotation. We need a bat that is worth 5,000, that is one, so we'll need like 5. We need balls, a ball that is costing 2,000. And then you look at the whole quotation is going up to, let's say, 500,000. The institution will say, hold up, we don't have that kind of money because the money right now is not there. But for baseball 5, you only need rubber balls. So when you pitch a proposal like they're like, you only need a court. Okay, that's fine. So they organize. Basketball, when are they training? Monday and Wednesday. So you guys will have Tuesday and Thursday. You see, so we've been moving round and round and now trying to educate and pitch this proposal to universities and their local communities which are around. And you find that since it's an interesting sport, it's very easy to get the numbers.
To add on what Tony has just said, baseball 5 is not only played even in the institutions. Our federation has also assisted. Now we have the Kakuma refugee camp. The game is also, they have also introduced there. In 2026, when you'll have the youth Olympics in Senegal.
In Dakar, Senegal, yes.
Yeah, Dakar, Senegal. One of the Kakuma team, which is here in Kenya, and assisted by the Softball Federation of Kenya. They have already started their preparation. You may also be seeing them at the World. The refugee team will have one refugee team that will be competing at the Youth Olympics in 2026, and it may come from here at Kakuma.
Oh, very interesting, because we know that the kind of support that the National Olympic Committee of Kenya has always given to the refugee athlete team, and we can see that it's coming down to this. Let's talk about secondary schools and for the younger players and the opportunities that come. And this is, if we go outside Nairobi and institutions, is helping. For example, if you go to Kitale and you want to look for a basketball court, you'd have to speak to a school.
True. That is very true.
If you go, or even if you go to Embu or Machakos,
Yeah.
maybe Mombasa has got its own public court, Kisumu may have that, but you need to go to a school and say, let these children come play. How is the federation working around to ensure that, for example, it's holiday season,
Yeah.
access to these facilities is granted? Coach.
What you'll do is, let's say like right now, the schools are closed. I'm very sure even in a town center, you'll not miss, unless maybe in Nairobi where it's a bit congested, but out there, like you mentioned, in Kitale, what you'll do is, if you really don't have a surface to play in, you'll just try and work with what you have at the moment. Yeah. So what we'll try is, you just have to look for a surface that is playable a bit, that is not too hazardous. So what you look at is something that is flat, no holes, no stones, no nothing, and it's a bit, it has the space, yeah? Because again, this game, you need at least 18 by 18 meters, yeah? And for kids, when you're looking at, let's say, kids, all they want to do is play. Yeah.
Yes.
So if they have, you don't have to be strict on them that you have to measure. The field has to be 21 by 21. It can even be 10 by 10. Just give them the basics. They just want the ball and play and sweat and just laugh with their friends. So that is where we begin. So you just teach them slowly by slowly. This is how you bat. This is how you throw. Can you catch? Can you do this? Can you do that? So for them, actually, it becomes easier. Then now, when the schools are open, when they go back to school, again, it's an issue of adapting. So is the football pitch okay? Can we do this? It's raining. No, we can't use that. So again, they have dining halls. Yeah. So we can push away the benches and use the space that we have in the dining hall if it's raining outside. Just give them like 30 to 45 minutes. Kids will enjoy it, and that's all they need. So it's about adapting to what we can use at the moment, because the sport is an inexpensive sport.
Let me talk about, because you've mentioned about children, and I'll tell you a story from a different sport where they decided that they're going to teach the youngsters to play that sport based on their age, rather than use the playing area that is used by adults. Yeah. So, and one of the people who was involved in that program came and realized that he was, he's very good at what he does, but he realized that he was brought up the wrong way. How do you work? Because he's mentioned about, for the children 10 by 10. Yeah. How do you get, as you introducing, when you introduce them to the sport, such that they get their basics right? Forget even about the dimensions. Yeah. Just the basics. Throwing, how to catch,
getting an out,
tagging, that.
Yeah. With baseball, actually, let me go back. In Nairobi here, we have a Nairobi Little League. It's a league. It's a baseball league started for kids by an Kenyan organization, but led with our friends from the US. It's called If We Build It, ifwebuildit.org. They're the ones who they're building a baseball field for us at JQuad. They've started a Little League program for playing baseball in Nairobi. But in the league,
Are they playing conventional or 5?
They are playing the conventional, but they use baseball 5 as a tool for giving them the basics. Yeah, baseball 5 is good for giving them the fielding basics, throwing basics. So they have introduced baseball 5 into the program so that it gives the kids the basics. Because throwing is the same. The way you throw baseball is the same way you throw a baseball 5. The way you field is the same way you field baseball. So that incorporation between that incorporation of baseball 5 into the Nairobi Little League, it's just an example, helps kids to understand baseball 5 better and baseball even much better.
So yes, and as you can see, the players warming up, trying to throw the ball. The one thing is, you don't actually need the gloves, but you just need your hands. Unlike the other
baseball and
softball, where you need that because of
the ball is harder.
The ball is hard.
The ball is harder. Leather, very solid, and moves fast. So let's now also see where education for people who would like to coach this sport. Coach, you have a player here. And anytime you go out, you have to, and people who want to be interested, you have got to educate them. What's the way you're working around with the local federation for this?
So what the federation does, it has really tried to create coaching clinics across different regions, yeah? And for people like us who've been coaching for a number of years, so what you do is in those clinics, we are sent down to go and train whoever feels like they want to do coaching and not play. So we've started by institutions mostly, because institutions, they are a hub for talent. So what we do is go to institutions, speak to their coaches, coaching department or sports departments. So are their coaches willing to learn how to train baseball 5? If yes, we do a coaching clinic maybe from Friday to Monday. Then the other week or after 2 weeks, we move to another institution or another area. So we find that in a year, then we now hold another clinic of now all the coaches who are trained to get another certification. So it's a constant learning process whereby you find that in a few years, a country has coaches from different regions. Yeah.
Also, to note on what coach is saying, the newly introduced curriculum has softball in it.
Yeah.
And softball is one of our parent sports.
Yeah.
So, softball and baseball, they are under one world body.
Yeah.
So with being under the World Baseball and Softball Confederation and in the introduction of softball into the curriculum, now the
Talk
game
about CBC.
Yeah, CBC. Softball is being taught in CBC. So the game has started being learned at earlier stages than for us who started 844. Yeah. Somebody like me, I was lucky because I got the game earlier baseball, and from friends of mine who are just Japanese friends of mine who are here in Kibera. But for baseball, for kids who are growing up right now, they'll get it from school because it's in the CBC. They are being taught in the CBC.
And a good thing about CBC having a softball is that when it comes to selecting national teams later in the year, we are going to have an easier time because now kids have been doing it. It's easy to identify the talent. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Tony Nganga, coach baseball 5 and the captain of the national team, Harry Kilibwa. They won the East African Basketball 5
championship.
Yes, the Baseball 5 championship. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, right now, let me move over to the UK, and we're joined by Professor Dr. Shilak Lunga. And good morning, Professor.
Hello, good morning.
I'm very well. Thank you for your time. I can see it's